Did some hair removal, some laser hair removal.
No,
Okay.
Connor.
Here we go. And the intro is broken. Wonderful. An intro there, viewer. It's not working today. So we're just going to jump into the podcast. Uh,
Woo!
My name's Dan.
oh, thank you, everybody. Welcome to episode, I think we're at 3 now. Episode
Four.
4. Episode 4 of Next
Four.
Run Gaming. We are a day late and a dollar short, but we are streaming live. If you want to watch us, tune on in and say something in our chat box. We are on YouTube, and we will be advertising links here in a moment. I have
What-
with me Mr. Rick Fiera,
Oh.
Yo.
Connor,
What up?
3D Dan,
It's me.
and as always, I am Pete the Headbanger. Guy that keeps this motley crew together, sort of.
Woo! Woo!
That's not a understatement whatsoever. He's the clue for my horse.
And today we're going to be talking about lists, tournaments, and tournament painting. Specifically, when we're talking about lists, we're going to be talking about how to test your list. Things you can do to get ready for those worst case scenarios that you might hit on your second or third game of a day when you are tired and cannot think anymore. So, let's go ahead and jump right in, guys. Let's talk about testing our lists.
I find alcohol helps.
Alcohol does help.
Everybody has their own formula, right?
Beer hammer's the best hammer.
Yeah. So,
What do we mean? What is kind of worst case scenarios for you guys? Like, is it going second? I know some lists want to go second almost.
Yeah, I would say the normal situation is like going second or getting seized on, having deployed, assuming that you're going first. Bad matchups. A situation I never considered last year when I was at Nova was that, Eldar are pretty good at denying psychic powers, and if you roll really low, even with Magnus, you might not get a psychic power off the entire game. That's not a consideration that I ever made.
Oh.
Bad
Yeah.
days. Bad days all around.
So, like Knights, my worst case scenario is seeing Eldar flyers. That's just a bad time. Or orcs. Or really anything. It fills me with anger and I just want to stomp on things. But I think like when we do practice games, having like, okay, I'm going to go second. Even though I won the roll, or kind of like stress testing, I guess. Am I wrong there?
Not
it's
at
kind
all.
of. I think it's kind of like you play a normal game, but if something happens that wouldn't normally happen, or you decide that you want to test out a specific scenario, like you roll with that. Because I think the most important thing about a test game is the point of a test game is not to win.
Yes.
Like to beat the point of a test game is to be like. So, for instance, I was playing my buddy's Necrons the other day, and I was putting like Guardian spam Eldar, and I won the roll to go first, and I was like, Ryan, do you want to go first? And he was like, yeah. Like he said, I think you should go first, otherwise it's really gonna hurt. And I was like, how about you go first?
Do it.
So then I got to see what his big alpha strike was going to be, and like what stratagems I needed to do, and things I could adjust in the future to like make his alpha strike hurt me less. Because there were some mistakes I made that I in the future I would not make when I play like a Necron army who has the Cloak of Darkness, teleporting guys over to shoot me. So it's really just like not playing. It's not like playing to lose, but the intention is not to win. The intention is to explore scenarios that you might find and to see what happens.
So here's the thing. In a tournament, you don't really have time to think, right? You're on a clock. You're tired. So you really have to have already gone through all the bad scenarios that your army could go through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, to me, when I'm testing a list, that's what it's really all about. It's really all about just getting those tests out of the way, getting those bad scenarios. So when I get second turn against the big Alpha Strike army, when I get uh, when I roll just garbage for my Ludas and they can't kill a good goddamn thing, what do I do? Like, what do I do in those scenarios? And that's not something you want to be thinking for the first time when you're staring across an opponent. You know,
No, you don't.
Who knows
so
their shit?
Yeah.
exactly, right? So that to
I,
me is what testing's all about.
yeah, I think everyone that has been playing for a while or serious has always said like, hey, when you start a new list, play 10 games, explore it, figure out what works, what doesn't work. But that next step is like we're talking about.
You mean
It's
the next rung, maybe?
the next run.
Ah!
Hey,
Ha!
guys, we said the name of the thing on the thing.
Hey,
I
look at
take a shot. No kidding.
that.
That's the next run, the next iteration of what you need to do. Once you find something that you're comfortable with and kind of jives with what you want to do, figuring out all the little intricacies, because it's not just also about the worst case scenario, but if you have the opportunity to, well, I've never run up my guardians up the table, but maybe I can take, a guard squad hostage, like stuff like that. That guardians are mostly there to soak fire and have like 12-inch shots, but they can also be pretty damn resilient on in a pinch,
Mhm.
depending on the circumstance.
Like
Yeah.
something that on the subject, like speaking of Guardians, right? Because I play with Guardians.
Oh, you play
As Dan
guardians? Okay.
knows, um, I was talking with some people in a Eldar chat that I'm in, and I was asking them what they thought about Eldar character spam and like ways they thought would be good to play it. And this one guy was just like, just play it like you have giant balls, and I was like, oh, I never.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty kind of cautious, reactionary player. But recently,
Really?
I've just been playing that list like just like let's go get them, and it's really shown me how playing aggressively with Guardians and going first and really just taking the board and making that kind of the main thing I want to do against the majority of like gun line style lists. Like, I'm not necessarily trying to charge 3 Night Gallons because that would just get murdered. But like testing is also about trying things you wouldn't normally try, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
normally I don't play my list that aggressively. But
Mhm.
recently, like I've just been playing it like balls to the wall, like running up the board. All
Yep.
my characters are at the front, ready to heroically intervene. They're all ready to go, just like go kick ass. And I've found I really like it. Like I like my list even more now that I've tested that avenue. It's really rewarding. It's
The
fucking sweet.
first time I ever met Connor was at a doubles tournament, and I don't know if he remembers this or not, but I was using Blood Angels probably about the third time ever, and in the second game I played him and his friend, I got to use a stratagem that I had never done, and it hurt me because it lets you redeploy and move. You can also allows them one of the characters with jump packs or a unit with jump pack can get a free movement before the battle round. So
Yeah.
kind of like the old infiltrate stratagem. So I moved both of my smash captains up towards his Karn. I didn't know what it did. I did not know what it did, and I charged it, and it wasn't there the next turn at all.
That's why
It's
we do
like
practice games.
exactly.
What
Now
do you
we still won because I brought a knight and we. Anyways, so that's what testing's for, and
Yep. Yeah.
You know, I've been playtesting kind of a rift on Don Husson's and Jim. Oh God, I'm gonna butcher his name.
Jim Vessel.
Jim Vessel, his list, and like TJ Lanigan's. I've been doing Plague Bear spam with some Dreadnoughts and some Thousand Sun support, and there's just a lot of stuff that I'm learning, or like, you know what, this isn't working for me, and I need to refine it and try stuff like, hey, can a Demon Prince take out 2 Doom Size? No,
No.
can't.
Well, maybe.
No, it can't. It can't.
Mm,
I tried.
Yeah, it's
You gotta roll hot.
Yeah, I don't.
Is it even possible to do that?
No, physically, actually, no, not
Probably not 2. 1 you could,
maybe.
and then if it
Maybe.
exploded, you could potentially take the other one.
Yeah.
I died on Overwatch, so
Yeah.
no, I couldn't.
What?
You got an Overwatch or Doom Size?
Let's just move on. So,
So on to the next topic.
I miss Blood Angels. But no, I don't know.
Yeah.
What is there, Pete? Have you noticed anything that you've done like in practice? They're like, hey, that definitely helped.
So one of the things, my list I've been running to big success is, a kind of a take, and I forget who came up with it. It was one of the top orc lists over back at Adepticon that pretty much runs nothing but grots and mech stuff and like no boys. And I've really been experimenting with my grots actually, seeing what they can do aside from just absorb fire, because I run 90 of the little fuckers. May as well get something out of them. So I mean, and I found out things like grots are, grots in numbers, kind of scary. I mean, they can get work done.
They can kill characters. I've had it happen.
I mean,
specifically Blood Angels.
They can get some work done. I mean, they're by no means gonna take a cake, but I walk three squads up, and those little grot blasters will get stuff done.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I've shot at a Lehman Russ with 30 pink horrors with flickering flame on them, and someone been like, "Yeah, you're not gonna do anything to my Lehman Russ," and then I kill it.
Yeah.
You say, ah.
Yeah, there's no AP on this gun, but I'm gonna shoot 90 shots, so.
Pretty much.
That hurts. That hurts. These are all things that I don't like. Mass shootings, a lot of bodies, Guardians with a 3 up and -2.
Great.
I'm having flashbacks. This is like Vietnam all over again.
I would say the important thing about practice and test games is not only to do the worst case scenario, but just to play as many games as you can against as many different people as you can to see how different people do things. Always talk it over, especially in a friendly game. Always talk the game over afterwards, because people think about things very differently. Like Connor's talking about, he's played defensively and now he's trying aggressively. My Thousand Suns are also kind of like a weak toughness army, but every game, turn 1, I go to the middle of the board and dare you to take it from me and just try to smite you off the board, and hope that I've got too many guys for you to figure out what's happening. Just being aggressive in 40K, first turn is valuable because of the fact that shooting first is valuable. Playing aggressively in 40K will always be rewarded. So if you can do something about someone, it's usually by kicking them in the teeth.
Yeah.
I think that there are times to play cagey.
Yeah.
But I do
cagerish,
because as a guy who I would always try to play cagey, every time. But it's important to note those specific times when you just need to keep everybody in a building,
right?
And it's not going to be the majority of the time. Most of the time, because what are the 2 things you want to do in 40K? It's core, right? You want
to kill their stuff and kill their stuff.
Stand places. So, like, if you can get out on the board and take up that space before your opponent can, then you're standing in more places and you're getting shots downfield and you're reducing his shots. So, like, especially if you play a horde list like I do, and I think you do too, Rick, you play playing bears and shit like that. If you can, like, get out there and take the middle of the board and then have that access to the rest of the board, then you're in a stronger position than, like, being funneled into your or blocked out of the whole table, which is where the objectives are, which is where you want.
Here's where my 2 Punisher Gatling cannons are pointed. Please stand in the middle of them.
Right.
You know what, man? You know what? Those don't
That's
have
fine.
AP, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have two little Terminators in my Guardian squads for those Punisher cannons. Anyways, but yeah, so testing, man. Like, if you want to go do well at a GT, like if you want to break out of like the mid-tier bracket and start
You
placing,
want to do well at an RTT, like a small
Yeah.
tournament.
this is true. This is true. Even like you love GT, if you're sick of like kind of like getting the wooden spoon or the mediocre or whatever, like just like test, play as much as you can, play people who are way better than you. That's what I'm doing this week. Like, I hit up 2 of my locals who are really solid guys. Like, one of them goes out to national stuff and does well, and like I'm gonna get a game in with him next week because I know that he's probably gonna spank me, but I'm gonna learn a shit ton.
Right.
Can we watch that? Can you videotape that?
Yeah, I can take some vids. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we can stop. Are we talking about real spanking or? No, okay, anyway.
You know what?
But moving on. Moving
I'll
on.
send you a separate video. How about that?
Yeah.
That'd make you.
That was my excited face. I haven't made that since I heard about Chaos Knights.
Oh God. Stupid nights.
Give them demon keywords.
So I think the I mean, testing can only go so far. But I do want to talk about something that's kind of like in the same vein. Like, I don't know how to say this. Everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to do well on the table, but I think there's an underappreciated element to that within the hyper competitive community, and that's painting. I don't know if people agree with me or not there, but like the real big prize support at like large events, sure, if you win, awesome, but like at Nova Open, I think it's called the Renaissance Man, which is like the highest painting and highest like table score, is the most prestigious event or award. And I've only been to one GT, so I had like a couple months to prepare, and I was all excited for it. But I know getting ready for new GTs or new tournaments can be, harrowing, which is why people are doing Map Keeper the Secret thing, skate conversion, and I don't know what Rick is doing.
Or disco, right?
Yeah. I got my pile of Disco Lords here, and then I have some Daredeos stuck in this bin that I washed today. I have Helldrakes in the mail. I already own one that's painted, so I've got a little bit cut down there, and I already own 3 Contemptors, so it's fine.
Are you doing triple disco, Rick?
Oh, yeah.
Are you going full on Don's 12
Yep.
list?
Yep.
Don's. Nice.
It's so different from my Thousand Suns Horde list that I've been playing pretty much since the Thousand Suns Codex came out. I'm just ready to try something different. And then I'm in the Trios tournament at Nova, and the third guy on my team was having some miniatures painted in China, and now they're mysteriously gone. So this is an excuse to build Don's list and play it a little bit, and then hand it to him and be like, here, this is what you're playing in Trios. I'm going to play something kind of similar to Vessel's list, because that's what I've been playing the entire edition pretty much. And then my friend is bringing Death Guard Mortirian lists, so we'll just run around punching people.
Oh, God.
And look at this man hobbying for his team. Painting for his team.
Yeah, we're also gonna wear costumes. I've got a sorcerer's costume. I'm pretty excited about. My friend's got a rebreather for his Mortirion get up. It's gonna be
Well,
good.
That's gonna be fun.
Mortarion did nothing wrong, but I guess with all that said, like, how do you guys get prepared for like GTS in terms of painting and that kind of
So I
compared
want
to like maybe like what you normally would do for painting?
So I went to last year. Last year, it was either last year or the year before. I think it was 18. Um, I went to Adepticon and then I went to Nova and I painted an army for each one. I painted demons for Adepticon because the Thousand Suns Codex wasn't out, and then I painted my Thousand Suns list and then some for Nova.
Oh
And
wow!
yeah, the biggest thing is to setting the date helps me. Like signing up for a tournament helps me to get motivated because I know I have to have shit done. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they're not gonna let me play. Though in the end, it's just a little bit every day, and that's really what helps me. Is to say, all right, this week, I look at my week. I'm like, all right, I've got 3 hours a day, maybe most in the evening. That's about what I can handle. That's all I'm gonna worry about. 3 hours every day, and as long as I do that at the end of the week, I'll have something to show for it. So that's my first thing is to just do a little bit, and if you skip a day, don't beat yourself up about it. Um,
Just make sure you
the
have
other
consistent.
thing that the best advice I ever got about painting was done, not perfect. You can be done with something without it being perfect. It doesn't matter if you're like one of the things I like to tell people because I taught myself to paint and I taught myself to play guitar and I taught myself how to do a couple of other kind of artsy things. With enough time, anyone can paint to any standard. You can
Right.
paint to a golden demon level standard. You just can't do it in 3 hours necessarily like someone else. Sometimes you just have to accept that. It's like, all right, I got 30 guys to paint for this tournament next week. That means I can put X amount of time in each guy. I need to get it to a level I'm comfortable with and happy with and I can walk away from, but maybe it's not the best I can do because I don't have time for that right now or because that's not rewarding for me. When you're this is a hobby, and this is something I used to tell people when I ran the store, like that were scared about painting. Like you paint it until you're not having fun anymore, then you stop painting it because what's the point?
Right. Right.
very true. Very true.
Have you guys noticed any changes in like your scoring at events? Because I know, like Connor, you're doing all those conversions for Inks and Eldar. Have you noticed that other people maybe that in the group that have started doing that kind of thing have placed more consistently at a higher level, or are you just doing that purely from a passion?
So I haven't been to a big event where paint scores are that heavily weighted since I've started getting into hobbying. Like I've been to like smaller 32-person GTs where it's like you like win best painted or you don't.
Right.
But I have gotten like more compliments on my stuff and people like get kind of pumped to see the conversions, which makes me really stoked about it. I know that I used to not give a shit about painting. I would just buy stuff on eBay and I would just run it, which is fine. But like, um, I'm hoping that my conversion work gets me like some higher scores at like Nova when I go this year, and at the Warp Charge Gaming Major. It's going to be here in Richmond.
July 20th, right?
Yeah, I think it's July 20th. It's on Facebook, BCP. Sign up if you can come down. Everybody's watching. But yeah, like I really like I'm passionate about my army's theme and about the conversions I'm doing. It's really fun and it just makes the painted models play better and painted models in models that you painted yourself play even better. Um, you know,
Yeah.
it's fun, man. It's like I'm really excited to see how my scores are impacted by like the hard work I put in. Like I'm not expecting to win best painted or necessarily like best overall, but like just the point of
Just
pride
make
is
sure Austin's not there.
yeah. I mean, if the wobbly dudes are there, like you're not gonna win.
No,
You know what I
just make
mean?
sure you can beat everyone else. Just make sure Austin's not there.
It better be Austin, not Austin, Kinder, or Ernie, should be there.
Or Juice. Make sure he doesn't come up. God.
Or Juice. That'd be cool if Juice came up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, but in terms of like how I prepare for GTs, I'm like a born procrastinator. So like
What? No.
I have a GT next weekend, and I'm better than normally, but I'm like cranking to finish like my last 20 my last like conversions and doing some character painting and doing like a little bits and bobs here and there. I'm definitely gonna have it all done in time, but it kind of like how Rick said, he like sets a date and it helps him finish the projects. For me, it's like some of those, like if I know I have something, I know that like before I'm gonna like not see anybody and just paint my shit because I want to have it looking nice and tight and cool. So that's the goal.
I have found that spray paint definitely, or like an airbrush definitely helps.
Oh yeah.
Definitely helps.
I would say so like painting tips, like if you don't have an airbrush, Army Painter primers that are different colors or GW colors, like whatever your base coat is, just like
prime it that color.
Prime it. Well, I would say prime it black,
and then
do like a zenith highlight with some white, like just real whatever direction you want the light to come from, real light. If you want to take the like if it's a centerpiece model, I would dry brush it then with some different grays and whites to get the highlights, and then lightly do your base coat with the spray. And that'll give you a lot of natural highlighting, and you can just kind of touch it up and get rolling. The other thing is to just like paint smarter, not harder. Like if you can prime something white and throw like either like use Lamia medium with a paint or use a wash as like your base skin color, then you can save a lot of time just doing that. Master dry brushing is always my advice to people because you can tear through some models with dry brushing.
Yeah.
The other thing is just talk to people about how they paint. Like this Lord Discordant. Like,
oh god,
I'm not gonna paint all the trim on this. I've got a bronze Sharpie. I'm gonna bronze Sharpie. This is an exact match for I think it's Screaming Bell on the GW paint range.
Yeah.
So run through with this, touch up with Screaming Bell where I need to, wash it, do some little highlights on the trim. No one will ever know. And I can say that because I won Armies on Parade this year at a GW store with a knight that's trim was done with Sharpies.
Yeah.
How about you, Pete? I know you're newer than the rest of us, but
so for me, I mean, playing Orcs, it's all about the speed painting. It's all about how they look all together. And it's really just
sea of green.
It's really just setting them up and knocking them out. I am personally super excited about the new contrast paints coming out from GW.
Oh my god, yeah.
Not so much for my Orcs because I've kind of got my process down. I'm happy with them, but I am working on a Slanesh army, and I'm really interested in seeing what they can do. But really for me, it's all about just doing a little bit. Biggest tip to speed painting is get your process down, get your steps down, and just keep cranking through them. I mean, I'll sit in front of my computer, and let's say I'm doing my base coat of green skin. I'll just pick up a model, base coat it, done, put it aside. Get the next one, just base coat, just grind through them. Get a little bit done every day. Don't stress about it. Just get it done.
Like I was gonna say, kind of a step. The beautiful thing about this, our relationship, our foursome here is, Rick and I, for example, we often have similar ideas but express it differently. So like he looks at it as, hey, I have 3 hours a day to do stuff. For me, I'm setting like I need to base coat all these things. So I have to set small steps. more so than like I have 3 hours. Like if I don't have time to do it all in one, I can't. But like if it's me going to bed at 11 o'clock or going to bed at midnight, I'm just going to make sure that all the basing is done, and then or all primed, and then the next day all the basing is done, etc.
Yeah.
So you need to find your groove and figure out what works for you, I think. But
That's good.
Pete's mentioning, just figure out how you're going to do it and just keep doing it, because that's repetition is both in playing games as well as painting is conducive to consistency.
Yeah. I mean, like the whole reason I got into painting was a friend of mine showed me a method that he uses that's like fast. It makes your models look cool, and you're not like it's fast, right? I mean, like it's. I think
paint someone else. I'm kidding.
Painting someone else is good, but like I think Rick kind of touched on sort of like what it's like. I mean, it's just like I prime everything white and then I paint with wash. It's like it's kind of lazy, but like I don't really care because I'm not expecting to win best painted at this point in my life. I just want my stuff to have like a unique enough look.
And you want your opponent to say, "Hey, I'm enjoying playing against you as a person, and these are damn cool models."
Right. And especially if you're like a fluff guy and you can find like some kind of lore reason to like fuel your aesthetic for your army, like that makes it just all the more worth it. Like my whole thing is like exodites for my Eldar, so like all my guardians are skinks. I've like given the Eldar guns, and like my avatar is like a Talos and a Tree Man conversion. Like it just makes the 40K is such like we spend so much time playing it and like looking at rules and traveling to go places. So like if you can add that next level of immersion where like
that next rung,
they're exodites and this is my avatar arcane and like these are my skinks, like it just gets your blood moving. And for me, like just like as a guy who went from just buying stuff on eBay because I knew it was good and playing with it to like making this commitment like financially and with my time to like buy my stuff and paint it's more fun, Speaking from experience, I have way more fun playing now.
I will say this though, I have stuff that I've painted myself, but my favorite model is one that I picked up off of eBay. It's this nice little company commander, has a little hat, trench coat, and he's got binoculars and he's looking out. And I'm like, that's my warlord. Even though he's not the best painted, he's my lucky charm, and that motherfucker, I'm going to touch up in a little bit because I love him.
Yeah. Like, I mean, one of my favorites is my Incarn friend of mine painted. It's like, I mean, this was like, does this look terrible? See this? Yeah, I mean, it's just like, he did a great job. Like, he put, like, I can feel the love emanating out of it because he's like he's a good friend of mine. And like, yeah, you don't have to paint everything in your army. Like, if you have stuff or get stuff on eBay that you think looks really dope, that's
fine. You felt love emanate from that. I felt murderous rage and just like fuck her.
Those are the same thing, Dan.
Yeah, it's true. Especially if you're talking about Eldar, they're so confused.
You guys are so much fun.
Side note: I stopped using my Incarn because she is not very good anymore. Sad.
People say the same thing about the Castellan.
Yeah,
it's fine, buddy.
Who knows what's good now? Rubric Marines are winning tournaments. Necrons are getting second place.
So let's transition to talking about tournament results. And before we get into recent stuff, a brief note Rick said about Rubric Marines winning.
It's the podcast. Yeah.
The Dallas GT, which is like a major Dallas Open, right? Like 100 plus people. This dude won with like 20 or 30 Rubric Marines and some other stuff.
35 Rubric Marines, and I think it's 50 Zangors.
And like, I read an interview that he gave, and he was like, "Yeah, this is a troll list."
Yeah,
I knew the meta, and I knew this like might work, and this dude just like trolled his way to victory.
Yeah,
Like,
But wait, didn't he win another one or another
He
GT?
did. He's won a second one.
are you serious?
Yep.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And
Wow.
yeah, definitely a troll list, and definitely trolling everyone as he wins.
I
Two-up armor saves are a thing, man.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's winning in Texas, so there's something. I think there may be something specific about the Texas meta in general. We're over here where all our tournaments on the East Coast all have the Nova L, and I don't know if there's enough to keep rubrics on the table there. But I'm interested to see. I'm hoping that he comes to Nova or something because I own 35 rubrics. I'll throw them on the table if they're good now.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I do not own rubrics, and I will not be putting them on the table. But
That's probably a
knights,
wise decision. It takes like 5 hours to paint a rubric.
ooh.
Yeah.
Is there a painting rubric?
There
Ha
is.
ha 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 ha.
Moving on. Okay, but tournament results, right? We want to talk about the
Yeah.
BAN real quick?
Yeah, let's go there. So
Dan, please.
Don's winning.
Tom's winning again.
Don's winning.
Dude, that shit. That list.
So he basically Don Hussein, for those who don't know, also known as the Mastodon, was primarily a Death Guard player last year, and he won the same tournament, the Bay Area Open, with a double Gatling gun knight, 2 Helverins, a bunch of I want to say Blight Lords, and then Armon
Yep.
and a couple thousand support. And people are like, "Oh, that's the West Coast. That's just a bunch of hodgepodge. They're not serious out there." And then he kept winning with other weird stuff. I think he kind of stumbled a little bit at LVO. I think he went 4-1-1, but he's been pushing the envelope by bringing in more of the like Darrow Contemptor Dreadnoughts, which are Forge World pieces that are really nice and really good. I actually have some on the way from a guy, but that I need to build and paint. But he's basically turned what conventional meta is on its head, because he actually posted, he has like a blog that he runs, and he posted and said, "Hey, this is my list. I'm now 12-0 in tournament games, and I'm not losing. I expect to win the Bay Area Open." And guess how many objective secure units he has? Connor, just take a guess.
He has 0, right? It's nothing but vehicles. isn't it?
0.
Not only
It's nothing-
0, 3 of his units are forbidden from holding objectives.
Full 25% of his list says you cannot hold objective in ITC. So he's literally just running forward and punching people in the mouth while also shooting at them with upwards of, I think, I can do math.
I think it's 54.
Yeah, 54. No,
It might be higher.
it's higher. No,
Because each Derrida is going to be
40.
8.
It's 48. It's 48 but shots, not counting flamers and autocannon shots or
Right, it's just butcher cannons.
so many butcher cannons. And so the way his list works is he's got the Helldrakes in the
Three.
air wing, 3 of them, and then he has 2 more spearheads, if I'm not mistaken, with
Spearhead and a Vanguard, I think. Or
Yeah, Vanguard,
Outrunner.
sorry. No,
Vanguard.
it's Vanguard, because of the Contemptor being elite.
Yeah.
And he just sends his Helldrakes, which have, I think, up to a 30-inch movement.
Yep.
Turn 1, and just says, "Hey, these are gunline elements that I can charge, because even though I'm a flyer, I can just charge you, because I don't have that minimum movement, and I don't have the supersonic." And they're not bad. They're actually good in melee, and his Lord Discordance... with Lord Discordance buffing them. Because if he can get his Lord Discordance into melee or near them, they give a -1 to be hit by other enemy vehicles and a +1 to them.
Yeah.
So it's just hyper aggression with actual gunline. But the beautiful thing is, so all of his dreadnoughts are purge, and it's a Renegade Legion that just came out with a new Vigilist book that says, if I wound you at all, every subsequent model that shoots at you gets full rerolls. That means even if you have a -2 to be hit, he may be hitting on 4s, but he can reroll 2s and 3s when that used to not be the case.
Yeah.
It's
So
like
he's just pouring, and I think it's one of the more undervalued point that the Butcher Cannon has 2 points flat damage.
Yep.
And that's, even a Lehman Russ can only take 7 of those failing before it blows up, or it dies. And if there's any elite infantry like Terminators, whatever, they're blown off the table if they fail one save.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really like, I think it's like the ultimate list. It's like if you can't, like if his dice spike and he makes a bunch, because everything has an invuln too, right?
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
5 up. 5 up.
It has an invuln. Everything is tough as shit.
Tough as 7 or higher.
And the thing I think is really cool about it is that I think a lot of it, like when I used to play people who would run the Leviathans with the Butcher Cannons and stuff like that, and I think a big weakness they have is like if you touch one, they just are not doing. They're never doing anything again. If they get touched in combat, they're never going to be able to shoot. But he's like, yes, please come charge my dreadnoughts, and then get just brutalized by my 3 Lord Discordants.
Well,
So if you
it's
want
actually
to,
a little bit better off than that because Purge have a stratagem that lets you shoot into combat.
that's
the Derrideos are all, I think, T8?
7.
T7. But they all have heavy bolters, so he can shoot at strength 5 into his own dreadnoughts. Basically not have a chance of wounding them and clear anything that is on top of them. It's really beautiful.
I didn't know that. That's gross. So you have to, do you have to not be in combat to be able to shoot into combat?
Yeah, so his Dreadnought, like, if you bad touch a Derridero, he can't shoot with that, but his other Derridero can turn to you and say, I'm going to kill you now.
So you have to bad touch all of them. Got it.
Right, but then he's got Contemptors and Helldrakes with Bale Flamers.
No, it's like, it's gross, man. Like, it's a gross list. And go ahead.
I was going to say, so all of that said, the one thing that keeps me personally from, like, just jumping in 100% and running it myself or as close as I can get is I think it's the quintessential ITC list. But the area that we are, which is the Northern Virginia area, and a fair bit of the East Coast, are shifting to Nova.
Yeah.
Which killing more is not as weighted heavily. They still have almost the identical ITC secondaries. And in fact, they tend to take inspiration from each other. And but it's mostly just hold more effectively. And I don't know how his list is going to do against things like 120 Plague Bearers and 60 Angors.
I think he has a fair shot because flyer bases are big and a Helldrake doesn't have to move. So if you plop a Helldrake on an objective, you can't get within 3 inches. My Helldrake can't hold it, but you can't hold it either. So charge my Helldrake, whatever my Derrideros will just shoot at it. I don't care. And then as long as the Lord Discordant stays at 160, like, they've got to be underpriced. They perform way too high. Every time he kills something, he throws mortal wounds on vehicles within 12 inches. It's ridiculous.
Or heals.
Yeah, but, like, it heals by itself anyway.
Yeah.
I am really curious if you see him make this work in a different meta. Kind of like Dan said about him going to LBO and stumbling a little bit.
Now, to be fair, he did not run this list. He ran Plague Crawler and Daredevil.
He tends to run these like odd, like last year at LBO he ran like 8 Plague Bush Crawlers, right?
So I think so. That was before my time.
He did that at one point. I remember this distinctly, that he ran like 8 or 9 Plague Bush Crawlers. So I'm curious to see like if it translates enough, or if it's just like too cute for a really, really big tournament like Nova or the LVO. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to down talk the guy.
No, yeah.
incredible player, but like I've heard some other folks talk about it and say that it's like too gimmicky,
So
which I think in a way it kind of is, but it's a very strong gimmick in
Right.
that everything is just tough as shit and you can't kill it, and it wants to kill you. And like the immediate thought, like I was thinking, is just like touch all the dreadnoughts. But if you try to touch all the dreadnoughts, you're gonna get eaten alive by the Lord Discordance. So I'm curious
Yeah.
to see if other people can take the list and do as well with it as he does in different ways. So
Right.
Kind of,
That's why I'm going to play it. I'm going to see what it does.
Yeah.
I will say this though, so kind of transitioning. The other big major tournaments have gone on. I think we touched on it very quickly last week, but like the Canadian tabletop championship, I forgot the actual name, the CTC.
Yeah. Fucking TJ.
They actually,
list.
it was chaos versus chaos. It was
Yeah.
Jim Vessel's list versus TJ, which is almost the same list, just about 400, 500 points kind of changed around. And I really do think the Plague Bearer shells, as people are starting to call it, is, I think that's a more resilient to meta change and a stronger component, like core list moving forward. And
but like, get that as I watched that game, right? And those lists, like Dan said, are so similar. But I think it's interesting how I feel like the TJ style list just like fucking dunks Jim Vessel's list because of those Blight Lords.
Yeah.
Like I don't outside of just pouring, and just so the people at home know, it's like these lists are basically like each side has 60 Plague Bearers, a bunch of 1,000 Sun Psychers, and then either like Pink Horrors and Bloodletters or a Blight Lord Terminator 10 man.
Mm-hmm.
And then these guys went ahead with those lists. And the thing that I noticed that stood out the most from that game is like the vessel style that has the pink horrors and the bloodletters. Just like it just can't deal with 10 bloodletters or 10 blightlords. Like, and this is the one thing I was curious to see if it would make a difference in that game. Like, short of using every targeted smite power on your side to try to snipe out the blightlords, there's nothing that can kill them. Like pink horrors don't kill them, I don't think.
Well, they killed Lehman Russell.
Yeah, but like these guys
I'm
have,
kidding.
they can be like -1 to hit. They have a 5 and feel no pain. Like there's a stratagem to give them the character rule basically. And
Cloud of Flies. Yeah.
-1 to hit kind of wrecks Pink Horror shooting.
Yeah,
because they're BS4, so like,
man, like they're so disgusting. So that was a really interesting head-to-head matchup where I feel just like it was so much in favor of those Blackbirds, man. Those are such a strong unit in the right context.
Okay, can we talk about the Boogeyman though?
What is it? Is it not the Castellan anymore?
Yeah. No, it's what Nick Nadavati's playing.
That fucking Gene Slayer cult?
Yeah.
They're
well,
gross.
didn't
they're not winning though. It's
didn't
weird.
Don beat it?
He did, but like I think Nick he got on it late because he was still playing Orcs for a while.
Yeah.
But like Juice and him both swapped going into Adepticon. I think Nick was still running Orcs at Adepticon. Just put in context, which was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, give or take. Maybe a little long, further away. Point being though that yeah, you're right. Like a month and a half. But Nick's been playing it on a professional level probably now, I would say probably 4 weeks, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he got effectively 3rd place at that same tournament with Jim and TJ going off in the final table. So, and I've played against it a couple times now, that same list, one from one of Nick's teammates, and it's just terrifying. It is terrifying. If you have any element of like, here's my 500 point model, or this is the unit that I have to protect at all costs, you're fucked. Like he will rip up even like the Blight Lords, because like Abominants and stuff will just rip through that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not convinced on Gene Stealers yet,
Fair enough.
but I think it's because I play a list where like I don't have that one thing.
Yeah.
Like if you kill Araman, yeah, that sucks, but like I'm gonna eat you with this Demon Prince now, so
Yeah.
Well, I think the big thing is that it's punishing anyone who's bringing that big thing, or
right.
the Warlock Conclave, or my Blight Lord, my 2 units of Blight Lords, like that kind of. These are
Right.
my Death Stars, and
Yeah.
because like Abominate or Aberrants, sorry, good lord, Aberrants are like disgustingly like to get rid of. They reduce all in damage incoming by 1, and they have a 5-up Feel No Pain with the right character that lets them reroll 1s on the Feel No Pain.
Yep.
Multiple
Yeah.
wounds each, and toughness 5.
They can even get a 4 of them, pain.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So
Uh,
I really think that there are people who have been looking for kind of finesse armies, kind of in echoes of the Yanari.
Yeah.
I think in the next 2 months, probably going into Nova, it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger.
Gene Stealers, yeah.
I'm really curious. I don't
What's
know
their
nothing back, but I don't know that they've won a giant tournament.
Not yet, no.
what's
But
I mean, it
what's the
says
toughness on those?
the Aberrants are 5. I'm sorry, 4. They're 4, but they're
4.
strength 5.
That's not
And
so bad.
I mean,
no,
the Aberrants are fucking gross, dude. They have like 2 guys in the unit that can attack siege or something crazy, and they're disgusting. Like they kill everything. Uh,
but the reason that makes that list so Gene Stealer Colts, a lot of people focused on like, here's my Kilomorphs and like my individual characters, and we're just buffing everything. And Nick basically said, I'm not going to take this 100-point character, and instead I'm going to invest in Roxall Bomb, which 2 units of neophytes with Roxaws can actually kill a knight. And we're
yeah,
talking about 3,
it's like
like,
they fucking dunk knights, which is cool.
oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But like, he has a unit of like flamers, like 10 flamers. It's 10d6 strength 3 flamers, and people are like, oh, but you can't deep strike and shoot that. No, he can either pop them out 3 inches away from you, or pop them in and then move them in a d6. So almost always he will be able, like, oh, that's really sweet that you have a guard squad in front of the knight that I want to charge with my aberrants that are coming in from deep strike. I'm going to get rid of that squad and then have a 4-inch charge or a 5-inch charge. But have you guys seen any other like lists that you popped up like, ooh, that looks cool?
I really like a lot of the lists that came out of Adapticon for orcs. I'm actually playing one of them.
Okay,
I think
the Gorkanaut and Morkanaut list,
the
right? With the
Gorgonaut
next stuff.
Market list, yeah. I haven't tried Nick Navati's list, which is very Stormboy heavy. Um, Mainly because I'm just getting used to playing on the clock, and the Gorgonaut Market list there's less units, which is great. But yeah, um, aside from that, I'm just kind of keeping my eyes open to what's going to happen in the meta. I think there's going to be some changes with the big fac, and a lot less Castellans. Everybody's not running away from the Castellans anymore, which I think makes more vehicle lists much more viable. Honestly.
Well, oh, so that is something I wanted to touch on. This is where like games within games, the metas of the metas come in, because you're right, Castellan dropped off, so everyone's like, hey, I can start bringing X unit, which is toughness 7, 14 wounds with some good gun, no invulnerable save.
Mm-hmm.
The Castellan is gone, but the Triple Crusader list is.
Yeah.
People are now running. It's mostly taken off in Europe, but they're bringing 3 Crass Crusaders with Gatling cannon, thermal
Yes.
cannon. And if you're not ready for that, it's weird, because most people are like, okay, I don't have. I can take one night out, but they're not geared up for 3 nights a week.
Yep.
And I think that's going to catch people by surprise.
So I'm looking forward to this weekend, Memorial Day weekend. There's going to be a couple RTTs going on. We're going to see how the meta's
Mm-hmm.
going to shake up. And with that, we are just about hitting our hour-long mark. So a lot of big
Awesome.
changes shaking out. Um, everybody just keep testing, keep trying things, keep throwing your army in its worst case situations, and just
Yeah.
play till you don't even have to think. That's my biggest piece of advice when you're
Yeah.
trying to get to a tournament.
Consistency,
And just know what
which
to
comes
do.
with practice.
And with that, I think it is time to sign off. So,
All right, y'all have a good night and happy
Thank
Memorial
you.
Day if y'all stateside.
Yeah, dude.
absolutely, and everybody keep reaching for that next rung. Thank you very much. See you next week.